Hello and welcome to PlayStation Racer. My name is Mitchell Morgan and today I have something a little bit different. Gone are the really short sprint races. Today, after I've checked the race difficulty and set it to hard, we're going to be heading off to the Nürburgring Nordschleife for a marathon 3-lap race of this wonderful, wonderful circuit. And I really wish that some of these challenges were this sort of length, because it really gives you an opportunity to get your teeth into a race, and this one was absolutely brilliant. I really did love it. So we're in the Honda NSX Concept. I've got racing medium tyres on, and I've got the output adjustment set to 90, ballast 0 and power restrictor of 90, basically to bring the performance points into the 800 window that we need. I've got the anti-lag system set to strong. Otherwise, this car is pretty much standard, but it is a brilliant, brilliant car for doing this particular race. Now, I've gone for racing medium tyres because I just want to get some longevity in the tyres and hopefully get through to lap 2, I would think. Although very often in this race, this isn't the first time I ran it. It took me about 3 or 4 times to actually do this one. You do get weather on some of the laps. Now, my advice to you is, if you are running this, is first of all grab the intermediate tyres and probably the wet tyres while you're there. And if you do get weather, then pit and put those intermediates on at the end of the lap where the rain comes. I tried a couple of times on continuing to run because the weather was only on like the teal and light blue colour. And normally you can run through that particular level of weather, but I found it was really, really difficult, and I struggled and I kept spinning, and even just trying to get the power down ever so gently was just resulting in the car going all over the place, and I was just losing so much time because this is such a twisty, turny circuit that you really want to dive in and put the intermediates on. As usual, after running this for a few times, the weather got better and better, and I didn't actually need to use the intermediates in this particular gold run. Now, the other thing is, I'm not going to be taking you through every single braking point, every single gear, every single turning point, because with the Nordschleife, it's so twisty and turny, and there are so many corners that every time I run this race, it's slightly different. So for the first lap, I'm getting through the traffic. For the second lap, then I'm running with slightly worn tyres. And then on the third lap, when I've changed the tyres, I'm running with fresh tyres. And so each of the 3 laps are slightly different. If you're struggling with the Nordschleife, as I would say, and I've always said in these videos, is think about a rally driver with the driver and the co-driver reading the pace notes. Write yourself out some pace notes. So something along the lines of, if you're doing a 90-degree right-hand corner that you normally take in 4th gear, do something like right 94 for right 90 degrees 4th gear. Or you could do a speed, although I tend to work on gears rather than speeds. And then record that and have that playing back through your phone or some sort of recorder while you're running. And obviously try and record that whilst you're doing a lap, so that the instruction is coming out just a bit before the corner. So for this next corner, I'd be calling out just a little way back, so that as the driver I'm ready and I'm prepared. So that would be my recommendation. And of course, just run and run and run and run and run this track, because the more that you run it, the more you're going to love it. The more you love it, the more you're going to learn it. The more you learn it, the more you're going to love it. And it's an ever-increasing circle, if you will, where it just gets better and better and better. And for me, this has got to be one of the best places on the planet for racing. There are certain other racetracks that I absolutely adore. Spa is one, Monza is another, but this is just sublime. I absolutely adore this. So if we just get back into the racing now, after all of the burbling, I'm chasing down the Corvette right now, and struggling a little bit to get past him at this stage. One of the things I would say is, if you've got a car like this, then just choose your overtaking point, because the opportunity will come, definitely it will come, and there is loads and loads and loads of time. We've got 3 full laps of this track. I don't know what lap times are doing, I can't remember, but probably about 7 minutes per lap. So you're looking around about a 20-minute race, and lots of opportunities. And I think that some of the front runners with very powerful cars are probably going to be pitting at the end of the first lap, and probably the second one as well. I didn't monitor that too much, that might or not be the case. This BMW was really hard to overtake. He was slow through the corners, he was sort of quicker on the faster sections, and trying to throw it up the inside was really difficult. I had to make sure that I had a definite door opening, such as there, to get my car down the inside of him. So that was one of the M6s out of the way, and I think we're straight onto the back of another M6 which we're chasing down at the moment. So yeah, you've really got to be a little bit careful with the slowing down as you go into corners, just so that you don't rear end some of the cars. Again, that was an opportunity into the carousel just to get that M6 done. I did manage to get it slowed down before we went through the carousel. I should mention that I'm narrating this one after the fact. I did need to really concentrate massively in this particular race, but we're up to 8th place already, 24 seconds still behind the leaders, but I'm not worrying about that too much, because we are round about a pit stop behind them, so hopefully we'll catch them up by doing one less pit stop. These 3 cars in front are pretty quick, and they're every time I did this they were pretty much grouped, so just be very careful with your overtakes. I had a gift of an overtake on Fraga there. I managed to get it up the inside of the Subaru there and just ran into the back of Yamanaka. Didn't unsettle him too much, it was just a little bit of a bumper rub and then an opportunity to overtake. So we managed to dispatch those 3 really rather nicely to claim 5th place, and also make up some time on the leaders. So the leader is down to just under 22, or just over 22 seconds now. The leader's obviously picked a fast part of the track as we're just negotiating these corners. This is a section of the track I really do like. I tend to mix between 3rd and 4th gear through here, occasionally 5th, but very often it was 3rd and 4th through a lot of these twisty bits. This is a lovely run down here in 5th up to 6th. Just be very minded that this corner can catch you out. 4th gear for that one, and as you come across the top here, I've done it this time. I was about to say I often visit that barrier. You really need to get it slowed down a lot more than I did. This isn't going to be a clean race by any stretch of the imagination. There's some door banging, there's some bumper rubbing, and also there is some visits to the barriers. I'm getting better and better and not hitting the barriers quite so much, but unfortunately it is something that does still happen. So we're up into 5th gear at the moment. The gap to the leader has gone out to 23 seconds, mainly because they are very fast cars down this main straight, so we are giving up time to them at the moment. As you come down the bottom here, you need to be very careful with your braking. If it's wet, brake really early and err on the side of caution. If it isn't, then you can go flat all the way through here, flat through here, and then you're looking for a tree that overhangs the track. There, bury the brake pedal just a tad before there, down into 2nd gear, use that grey part of the curb for a turn-in, and then let it run. And you can see there that the 2nd, 3rd and 4th place runners on medium tyres have all pitted. Mendoza has carried on. I can't remember what car Mendoza is in, but Mendoza is clearly making some good progress. So our sights are firmly set on Mendoza at the moment, who is now only 7 seconds away from us. Oh, we got really wide there out onto that green runoff area. That has not done us any good. A little bit wide through that corner as well. Just trying to push on to try and get sight of Mendoza, and I think that was my mindset at this point, was just to see if we can get the visualization on him and then chase him down. I always find it's easier to chase people than to be chased. 50-meter board there, just turn it in third gear. I have put the weather radar on at the moment. I would suggest, if you are running this, to put the weather radar on as you come down the main long straight, so that you've got the option to pit if that rain is coming in, because this is a very, very, very long track and you want to make sure that you have got the right tyres at the right time. So I don't know how quickly the intermediates would burn out, but if you have got a lot of rain around the track, then it may well be worthwhile putting the intermediates on, even if the track is dry at the beginning. Otherwise, go with slicks as I've done and just keep pushing on and hope that you get through the lap before that rain arrives. I'd run this initial section quite a bit, gone a bit deep there. The reason I went deep there is not because I don't know this part of the track, I really do, but I actually got sight of Mendoza ahead of me and it just took my concentration for a split second and I broke too late for that corner. Remember, whenever you are racing, drive first, everything else comes later. I should not have allowed myself to be distracted. Through that bit is flat, 6th gear in this car, completely flat all the way down here, including this next corner that's coming up. You'll see many cars braking on this corner. If you come out to the right hand side and then sweep across to the curb, you can get through there flat and then brake as you get to the end of the curb. So you're looking for the end of the curb on the left hand side, hit the brakes down at the 3rd gear, and you're going to be able to monster through there. And you can see how much we've caught up with the Aston Martin V12 Vantage in front of us, and now we're looking for a pass. We're not going to be able to get up the inside of there, but can we do it under braking or a slight bang of doors? The Aston Martin wanted to come across and close the door, but we were up alongside. I think that was fairly my door, my corner, but we did actually go a little bit deep whilst trying to keep ahead of the fast charging Aston Martin behind that is looming large in our mirrors now. That yellow paint around the grille is just like a big mouth coming to gobble you up when it's in the mirrors. So what I decided to do was just concentrate on my driving. I was going to drive my lines as quickly as I could, and if the Aston Martin caught me up, well, he was going to have to do the pass. He was going to have to do something a little bit different, because I was just going to stick to my lines. Love this section through here, really quick. Just make sure you get it slowed down before that corner, because it does come up really quickly. Again, I've got the track map back on now, so we're off the weather radar because there's nothing I can do about the weather now if it comes during this lap. Back on the track map so that you can get a heads up on the severity of the corner coming up and obviously the direction of that corner. I love this NSX around here. It is so well planted. It gobbles up these corners like you wouldn't believe. You can really lay the car into the corners beautifully. It reacts to the gear changes and the brakes wonderfully. You can really use the brakes and the gears to get these corners turned in. And then when you get a nice long run like this one, you can just let it run, just full acceleration, working your way up through the gears, just riding the curbs. And you'll notice the fact that I'm out in front now, I'm not even using all of the track. There are plenty of sort of grey curb areas that I'm not using. I'm keeping it more sort of central in the track and staying off of the curbs, just to keep this car nicely balanced, and also not to chew the tyres up too much. Now, I haven't mentioned the tyres, but they're actually looking pretty good. We're on the racing mediums, just a little bit of wear on the rears, hardly any on the front. I've gone a little bit deep on there, just running the grass so that we can get back on the track. Really pushing, even though I'm out front and I'm not actually using all of the track. I am still pushing as hard as I possibly can. 2.6 seconds ahead of the Aston Martin behind us at the moment. Pretty much maintaining that distance at this precise moment of time, but the tyres are looking really good. The question now is whether we decide to come in and change the tyres or whether we're going to need to stay out. So we do need to start thinking about that as we come down the big long straight. So we don't need to do that just now, but I am already thinking about the pits, and I could either back off now and take it easy, or I could push on, see if we can build a little bit more of a gap, and then grab that pit stop just to put an extra set of tyres on, maybe a little bit of extra fuel, just to make the last lap a little bit easier on ourselves. So at this point I am really going for it, trying to build out that gap, which we've got out to nearly 5 seconds at this precise moment in point. Love coming through this little section, and puts a smile on my face every time when you're driving. If you run this track lots and lots and lots, and you really know it inside out, it sweeps from one side to the other side. The corners just keep coming, the trees just keep racing by, and it's absolutely glorious. I'd love to do this for real, but don't like the costs of when things go wrong, and you just know things are going to go wrong if you take your own car on here. At least I would if I took the risk. So it's not likely to be something that's ever going to happen, but I do love racing this on Gran Turismo. This is a long straight. As soon as you see that big red Audi Sport banner, you know that the straight is on, and you can just head straight to it, building up the speed. As you can see there, I just checked the weather very quickly just to make sure that there was no weather coming in. It looked all pretty clear, so I've got plenty of opportunity to carry on these tyres if I want to. I'm up to 9 seconds at the moment, 1.2 laps of fuel. Now I have been fuel saving pretty much all the way through this. I haven't mentioned fuel saving, but fuel saving is pretty key. Basically we're on fuel map 1 for this race. I've left it on fuel map 1 all the way through, and I've just done a lot of fuel saving right the way through the race, so basically changing up about halfway up the rev range. It doesn't hurt the performance of this car at all, but it will get you through quite nicely. So we could probably have gone on and continued, but Portilla and Mendoza behind us are both pitted, so we made the right judgment call. We've got a brand new set of mediums, so we've got medium and medium, brand new set of medium tyres, a little splash of extra fuel, which means now that we can just run. And one of the main reasons why I opted for new tyres is just that I didn't want them to wear down too much and then find that I spin. Many of you will be laughing at me because there was absolutely no real need to do that, and I could now be 20 odd 30 seconds down the road by not coming in. Well, that's your choice. If you want to do that, go ahead. I'm pretty sure that that strategy would work quite well. Oh, as you can see with the new tyres on, they're biting a lot better, a lot more grip than what I had in the previous race. In the previous lap. So I'm getting great turning, great grip from these tyres, and just got caught out on the first few corners. So with regards to the margin to the car behind, we're up to 2 seconds already, which is quite nice. I'll remind you that we are on the hard settings. We are on traction control 1 for a little bit of stability. We are on fuel map 1, which is full power. We've got plenty of fuel, we've got plenty of tyres, and now we start the Nordschleife for the third and final time. Through here, third gear, up into fourth gear, you can monster it through here. I'm just lifting ever so slightly, but you can basically do this flat. Slowing it down here into third gear for this corner, looking for the curb to run around, and then I'll leave it in third all the way through here, picking up these apexes. Going through this one, just leaving it in third. We get up onto the curb for that one, which gives you a nice line into this corner, and then up into 4th, 5th and 6th to run flat all the way through here. Drift over to the left. As you go over the top, you're looking for the curb on the right hand side. Pick that up, pick up the next right, so that's a compound curve. You just treat it as one. Now we're just looking for these curves to guide us through this section. And this next one that's coming up, if you stay over to the right hand side, you can sweep across, pick up the curb, and then at the end of this curb, bury the brake pedal down into third gear, get it slowed down because you are carrying some serious speed through there. And we've actually made 7.4 seconds distance to the cars behind just by going flat through there. This Honda is just amazing around this track. It never ever fails to amaze me, this car. I absolutely adore it. So just dropping down into second through there. Normally I would do that one in third, but I am being a little bit careful with the gears and the turn-ins at the moment. Staying off the curbs quite a bit just to keep the car nice and settled. And although we're pushing on, just not pushing on quite as much because we're out in front with a nice comfortable margin. The last thing that we want to do now is put it into the barrier, or worse still, spin, and then just watch 2 or 3 cars come by us, and then we are going to be struggling for the race win. So that's really how I ran this race to get gold. I mean, we've still got a fair way to go yet, but it's same old, just taking care, using the track map to see where the corners are coming. I'm not too worried about the weather at the moment because the sky is looking blue ahead of us, the track is dry, the sun is out. It really doesn't get any better than this. We got new tyres, we've got plenty of fuel. Happy days, happy days. It's a shame in the last lap I didn't manage to break the 8 minutes though. That was a bit of a shame. We've gone a little bit deep through that one again. That caught me out last time. Caught me out again, so not quite learning my lesson. Flat through here. Lovely run through here. You want to just try and be picking up these little concrete patches on the inside of the corners through there. This is going to get you pretty much up to full speed, around about 161, 162 miles an hour. Just keep running and then just slow it down for this corner. I think you could probably go through there flat, but why when you're this far out the front? I just didn't want to take any chances. I was minded though that the car behind, Portilla, is catching us. The distance to the car behind is down to 4.5 seconds now, so we can't back off too much. There is still a race to be lost here if we're not careful. So just keeping the hammer down as much as we can, but also just being careful of the curbs, being careful of the tightness of the corners, just making this one happen. It's the gap now, 4 seconds to the car behind. You can see I'm pushing. The back end just twitched a little bit there. Managed to catch it, thankfully. Otherwise, no real dramas at the moment. We've had 1 or 2 visits to the grass. We've had 1 or 2 barrier hits. But in the main, this is probably about as easy as this race is ever going to get. So I'm finding on Gran Turismo 7 that the first time you run a track and you're going to get weather, you get weather, and then the weather gets a little bit drier and then a little bit drier and a little bit drier as you run. So I've run this race a few times because in the wet on slicks I was spinning it, as I mentioned earlier on. If you do get weather, jump onto the inters would be my advice. But after running for a few times, as you can see, we've had no rain at all in this race. So I love racing in the rain. I love the extra challenge. I love the way that you can build your skills up. But if you really don't like the rain and you really struggle in the rain, then maybe just run this race a few times, just restarting it when you spin off. So maybe at the end of the first lap or so, just restart the race, restart the race, restart the race. Do that, I don't know, probably somewhere between 3 and half a dozen times, and you'll probably find that the weather is getting better. Just don't come out of the race and don't reset your PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4, whatever version of PlayStation you're running. Just leave it on and just keep running. So we get a fuel warning now, but absolutely no worries because we are coming down towards the end of the race, and I make a classic error in a moment. Oh, this was really late. It was early hours of the morning by the time I'd actually finished this one, and I made the stupidest mistake ever. So we're getting it slowed down nicely through here. We pick up that curb nicely. We come across to the left, and then, oh no, don't go down that way. I was going to run round the Nordschleife again. Totally stupid move. Of course, we needed to join the Grand Prix circuit. So that is basically how I got gold for the World Touring Car 800 at the Nordschleife. A really exciting race. I loved the early part of that one, the first lap where I was making my way through all of the traffic. Then once we got through to the leaders, it was a case of chasing them down and working our way past them. And then once we got out in front, it was just really beautiful just to enjoy this twisty, turny, undulating, character-filled track and just enjoy this wonderful Honda NSX on this amazing track. It really is a beautiful, beautiful drive. So that's this one done, guys. If you liked the video, I hope you did, please hit the like button and support the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. And if you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button. I get a lot of people watching my videos, but not that many subscribing, which is a real disappointment. Please hit that subscribe button and help me to get towards that magic 1,000 subscribers that I'm aiming for. And if you're a current subscriber, thank you ever so much for coming back and sharing another video with me. Having you along for the ride is just amazing, and I really appreciate you very much, both you for following me and supporting my channel, and also for taking the time to share these videos with me. We're going to be heading off to Asia for the next set of races. That will be the last batch of World Circuit races to be done. So we are nearing the end of our time with Gran Turismo 7. For now, thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.